Welcome to I May Be Wrong.
I don't know what this world is coming to,
but I don't think so. We're broadcasting from the greater Nashville area, the home of country music, beyond the borders of political correctness and identity politics. Facts and faith are our demarcations. Truth lights our path.
Here's the Barry White of Podcast Radio,
the Venerable Alfonso Ashworth.
Well, welcome to another exciting episode of I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So. Of course, you can find us every Wednesday at I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So.com. You can be a subscriber. You can join the podcast. Of course, you can also comment or leave your responses in our chat room that we affectionately call the Furnace. Of course, you can join us there every week. Contact me on Facebook. Right now, we're broadcasting also at Facebook Live. We got an exciting program for you this show, this episode. Of course, we're coming up on the season, the holiday season, the Christmas season, the festivities, all the things that are happening out there. Of course, the all this stuff about impeachment, the process is moving forward. There's not a whole lot we can do about that other than in November, go and cast your vote for whoever you think can best run this nation. At the moment, it appears that President Trump is doing a fantastic job of being president if they will allow him to do his job. Of course, Congress, the House of Representatives at the moment are debating and getting prepared to vote for articles of impeachment. Look, if I see you chime in, if you want to cast your vote, if you want to cast your lot, if you want to tell me what you're thinking, of course, you can call during the show. We're going to allow live callers to call in at 615-422-5709. You can Skype call me, and we'll get your comments or your questions if you want to talk about, is LGBTQ, the lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender questioning, has it become the new black? Being black for years, it was considered a privileged class, a protected class. Of course, because of the history of this country, the slavery on into Jim Crow, all of the voting laws and legal blocks that were put in the way of African Americans so that they could not vote. Now that they can vote, many of them vote primarily for one party. But has that party betrayed the black community? Has it turned its back on those who have been loyal supporters of this party for more than half a century? They have been loyal to go vote for the Democrats in almost every election. Overwhelmingly, they have voted Democratic in terms of the Democratic policies, the Democratic candidates. No matter who was running, the black community, by and large, for the last half century or more, has supported the Democrats. But has the Democrat Party turned its back on the black community? And the reason I ask is because of what is happening at the moment with the debates in the Democrat caucuses. I mean, they're debating whether to elect their next person to run for office. And trust me, it's not a person of color. Although they have two that have run at the moment, a black female, Kamala Harris, and of course, Cory Booker is at the present, but they're trying to boot him off the stage. Look, he's out here begging to get back on the stage. Of course, if you got some comments that you want to make, he says, it won't bring on air, will it? I don't know. Somebody asking me something about it won't bring on air. I don't know what that means, but if you got more questions, Ruby, let me know. We got of course, a lot happening. You can find us at I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So.com. You can listen to the broadcast there. You can find the podcast as well. If you're not able to listen to the program live, you can also catch us later on the podcast on almost every major podcast. You can find I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So. And you can download it, subscribe to it, and catch up on some of the recent programs that we've had. Of course, this, like I said, it's the holiday season, but we move forward. Look, we're going to try to settle this the best way that I know how is to look historically at what we have come to in this nation. We're so divided, more divided now than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. And I don't know who's going to be able to bring this country together. It's not going to be the Democrats or the Republicans. It's going to have to be somebody. I always thought President Trump would be able to do this because he was an outsider. I mean, President Trump has been, a Democrat. He's now a Republican, an independent. He's not a politician. I always thought he would do well, once elected. Once we got past the rhetoric, once we got past all the nonsense, I felt that he would do well, to bring the country together because, one, he was a very popular person. He was liked by millions. His program, The Apprentice, was one of the highest rated programs of his day. And President Trump, Donald Trump at that time, was very well known. A lot of people think that Donald Trump just sort of fell off the cabbage truck and just found his way to be president. But President Trump, Donald Trump, the former businessman Donald Trump, has always let it be known about his political views that goes back several decades. So he didn't just start a Johnny-come-lately just getting in to run for office, and he found himself in a very unique position. But also, let's not forget that what former President Obama, what did he have to do with this LGBTQ movement? A lot of people don't remember President Obama, when he was a senator, was very so-called pro-marriage, male and female. He let it be known. It's documented. I'm going to play a clip in just a minute to prove my point as how he changed his position as the political winds seemed to shift in more favor of the LGBTQ community. Of course, it all started with the movies, with the television programs, and now into commercials. Now it's into our universities. It's in our schools. It's now being pushed in some of our churches, and religious affiliations are now more acceptable to the LGBT community. Look, I'm not here to beat up on this. I'm here to discuss this issue in a way to bring clarity to what's going on with the black vote. The black vote now is evolving and changing to where many blacks are now considering switching their vote. Now, will they switch parties? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I do know there are a lot of African citizens who are waking up to the fact that they've been voting for a certain group, and that group has failed to deliver. And now it appears that that group is turning its back on the black community, by and large, the Democratic Party. The party who says that they are diverse, they're inclusive, yeah, but only to a degree that now they're turning their attention toward the LGBT community. Well, who started this? Well, let me play a clip for you and let you hear what I think is very important, because President Obama, at the time when he was first bringing this to light, let's listen to what he had to say about it.
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. But I also detest the sort of bashing and vilifying of gays and lesbians.
Now, this is President Obama in 2004. Now, roll back the political clock so that you can get a better understanding of this. This is President Obama before he ran for president. This is in 2004. So let me rewind this.
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. But I also detest the sort of bashing and vilifying of gays and lesbians because I think it's unduly divisive.
Now you have to ask, who was bashing gays and lesbians at this time? Matter of fact, there were many gays and lesbians who had come out of their closet and were doing well. They in the industry, they're in entertainment, they're in the business community, they're at the universities, they're out in the world. And at this time, many of them were already giving certain class of certain privileges because many states had already started rewriting their laws concerning property. And that was the big argument, is that you had a gay couple, they could not leave their property without some type of civil litigation. Well, that was already resolved. The state didn't have to get involved with that. That was handled through the courts. Look, if you wanted to leave your property to somebody, who was going to stop you? You can leave your property. You can have anything drafted any way you want, just like anyone else as a private citizen. But that's not what they wanted. Let's continue.
It's unnecessary. Most gays and lesbians are simply seeking basic recognition of their rights.
Listen to what he's saying in 2004, that the LGBT community wanted their basic rights and like every other American. Well, what right did they not have that every other American had a right to? The right to have legalized marriage. Most states just did not recognize. They didn't recognize marriage as the biblical recommendation of it was between a male and a female. And that's what most states had. Now, a few had already started working this through the court system. But here, former President, then Senator Obama, but he's evolving. Listen.
We've got to make sure that everybody is equal under the law. And the civil unions that I proposed would be equivalent in terms of...
Now, this is in 2008 when he was running for office. And he was asked this question about civil unions and about gay marriage during a debate.
Making sure that all the rights that are conferred by the state are equal for same-sex couples as well as for heterosexual couples. Now, with respect to marriage, it's my belief that it's up to the individual denominations to make a decision.
Now, here you go. Now, he switched from 2004 to 2008 from where he said he thought marriage was between a male and a female and that gays should have civil rights like everyone else. But now he's saying the churches should have their own responsibility to make that decision. But let's not forget what he did when he became president. The first thing he did was attack the churches and the religious organizations who were refusing to recognize that gays could marry. Let's let him continue talking.
As to whether they want to recognize marriage or not.
Now, this is
with respect to gay marriage. I do not support gay marriage, but I support a very strong version of civil unions.
He needed to make his mind up because at one point he was against it. Then he's for it. Now he's against it again because he saw that he was losing ground with this topic. Of course, if you would like to call in with a question, you can call in at 615-422-5709 on my Skype. And if you have a response to what we're talking about, of course, we're talking about, has LGBTQ become the new black? Is it the new protected class? Is it the new civil rights platform that they're going to run on? Look, Pete Buttigieg, the gay mayor from South Bend, Indiana, is right there neck and neck. He's right there getting a lot of money. He's right there in the pack, and he's considered in some cases to be a front runner. But when all this started, Kamala Harris was supposed to be the knight, so-called, in shining armor for the Democratic Party. She's a female. She's smart. Of course, she's in politics. She's a Democrat. She's got all the things going for her. Why did the Democratic Party turn its back on Kamala Harris? She could not raise. She was begging for money. Why wasn't Hollywood coming to her aid? Why wasn't the establishment coming to her aid? How about the very black community that has been giving its support to the Democratic Party, that's been calling for inclusive candidates, that's been calling for female candidates of color, and all of a sudden you get one and you will not support them? But let's let President Obama continue to talk, and let's see what he evolves to next.
Where I think the state has to recognize the same rights and responsibilities for gay people, same-sex couples, as they do for anybody else.
What right did the gay people not have that everyone else has? They have all the protected rights under the Constitution, other than what? To get married. Well, most people recognize marriage is between a male and a female. Of course, all that changed because President Obama had agendas. He had an agenda. His whole agenda from day one was to push this issue to the Supreme Court, which at that time was very favorable to the gay movement. It was a lot of pressure coming from the business industries that had already changed their policies. Most companies had already changed how they handle this issue. And most people, even in churches, has started to change their point of view on about the gay marriage issue. Now, whether you agree with it or whether you don't agree with it, it was an issue.
Because the state is not a religious institution. And I believe in equal protection under the law, and so making sure that the right to transfer property, hospital visitation, non-discrimination, all those principles apply to same-sex couples, I think is important.
Well, here he is.
Define marriage.
Listen.
I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman.
Would you support a constitutional amendment with that definition?
No, I would not. I am not somebody who promotes same-sex marriage, but I do believe in civil unions. I do believe that we should not, that for gay partners to want to visit each other in a hospital, for the state to say, you know what, that's all right. I don't think in any way inhibits my core beliefs about what marriage are.
Here he is.
I believe that gay couples deserve the same legal rights as every other couple in this country. You should never have to look over your shoulder to be gay in the United States of America. I issued an order so that any hospital in America that accepts Medicare or Medicaid, and that means just about every hospital, has to treat gay partners just as they do straight partners, because nobody should have to produce a legal contract to hold the hand of the person that they love.
There you have it. And you know, of course, I have been vilified in many corners because I have openly called and said that President Obama was America's first openly out of the closet gay president. His whole agenda was driven by this motive, by painting the White House in the rainbow colors after the landmark decision came down from the Supreme Court, which in most cases had already become a foregone conclusion that was not going to change most people's minds, except that he was going to enforce what he said. He was going to force hospitals. Well, hospitals were not turning away gay people. Hospitals were not turning people away because they were gay. They couldn't get the services they needed. That's insane. That was a red herring. That was a smokescreen to get this agenda to go through. And look what it's done now in the year of 2019. Now the black community is left trying to figure out, well, where do we fit in? Where do we fit in now to the Democratic Party? Because many in the black community does not support gay marriage. Whether they will come out and say it, or whether they will come out and agree with it, many of them are confused about it because in some cases it's right in their churches and they won't address it. They got gay pastors, they have gay leaders, they got gay choir directors, they got gay musicians. All of that's been in the black church for many years, and they just never address it. In most cases, they ignore it until some child is molested in the church. Now, if you want to talk about that, even the Catholic Church has tried to address this issue and have failed miserably. But what in the gay community, what in the world does President Obama mean when he said that he is for male and a female, and now he's not, and all of a sudden the White House is painted rainbow colors? So what has happened? Of course, if some of you have some responses, I see that Daryl says, true, brother Carl is talking about Obama was the way he was talking. It says that Obama speaks with forked tongue. That is the truth. Daryl Graham says he has was never against gay marriage. No, he never did say. He said he was for marriage was for a male and a female, but he never did say that he was actually against gay marriage. He never did make that statement because he never was. It's obvious that when he was a senator that he was never against it because he never voted against it. I see that Pat Rushing has gone video, looking at the video live. Good morning, Miss Akita. I see that she's in the chat room. I see that others. Of course, Daryl also says that he was just pacing himself, slowly revealing what his true heart was. Yes, look, that's obvious. You know, if you're going to paint the White House rainbow color, you making a very bold statement, especially when you were the face of this movement. Now, whether you want to agree with me or not, of course, if you like to disagree, you can chime in, you can call in. Keita, you can go to if you're having trouble listening on our website, go to Facebook Live. We're also broadcasting there as well. You can find us on Facebook and listen to the show during that, or you can catch us later if you're having broadband issues, because we do broadcast at video quality. So you can come back and listen to the show on the podcast and catch us there at I may be wrong, but I don't think so.com. Of course, we're addressing this issue because 2020 is going to be a major turn, and especially the black community. If the numbers are accurate, if the polls are close, the black community is shifting away from the Democratic establishment. Look, the Democrats have said, look, we want a big tent policy. We want an inclusive policy. But every time the black community comes out and supports the Democrats, they get the door slammed on their hand. Every time. They did it with Jesse Jackson. Now they've done it with Kamala Harris. They're doing it with Barry Booker. And all of a sudden, these candidates that have so-called been loyal to the party can't get no love. But here, Pete Buttigieg, a mayor from a little town of South Bend, Indiana, who's not even very well liked by the black community there. Pete Buttigieg has done nothing for the black community in South Bend. Go and ask. Go and ask some of the people who live there how they feel about Pete Buttigieg. Or whatever his name, how you say his name. But, you know, he's not. Look who's getting the support from Hollywood now. Yeah, they throwing a crumb out there. They'll throw the black community a little crumb here and there. They'll give them a little movie at the theater, which is a joke. It's almost black exploitation type movies all over again. These movies they have coming out with the blacks in the roles that they're playing in. No, they're not out here shucking and jiving, but they're not out here getting the prominent roles that many of the other people are having. So don't give me this garbage. Now, if you want to talk facts, the facts is what have been stated already, that President Obama had an agenda coming in. From day one, he wanted to push the LGBT community into the forefront. That was always his motive. That was the first thing he had tried to do. And when he got reelected, that's the first thing he pushed through to the Supreme Court was this issue. And now if you look how it's evolved since he left office, you have a whole nother movement out there that's also swelling up. And the black community is being suppressed. In their own party, they claim 80-90% support for this party, and they are being suppressed. They're being pushed off the stage, and they're being told to shut up and wait your turn. Why hasn't the Democrats had a black candidate that's made it all the way to the election? They never have. The Republicans have come closer to that as anyone in the country. Now, you can say the Republicans are a party of old white men, but you can't deny that the Democrats are a party of older white men. You got Bernie Sanders. You've got now you have Joe Biden, who's at the top of the ticket, old has been. He's leading the way. And you have people like Elizabeth Warren, that was a Republican at one time who switched parties. But she's pushing this party so far to the socialist side of the party. Where does that leave the black community? More in poverty, less jobs, less opportunities, less quality education. Why? Because they're being pushed down further and further. Matter of fact, I would argue that the black community has done far better under President Trump's watch than they ever have at any time under the Democratic Party. I beg anybody to prove me different. I see that Richard has said something in the chat room. He says, boot edge is a bad joke. That's what Carl says. Says LGBTQ. I don't know what the P. And of course, he's also saying that they're the party of the KKK. That's exactly right, Carl. The Democrats are the party of the KKK, and if they want to talk about voter suppression, when you have a party that has bought lock, stock, and barrel, bought the black community, and used them every 4 years as a political whipping post, and they force these people to believe or have bamboozled them into believing, it's like Malcolm X said, look, you've been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked. That every 4 years you go vote for this party. They promise you something and they never deliver. And now that party, your party, the black community, by and large, has now become the LGBTQ or PXYZ. And that's where we stand. Of course, if you disagree, and you have a right to do so, you got every right to disagree with what I say. I'm not here to try to win no political favors. I'm not running for no political office. I have no intentions of putting myself into that arena. But if you would like to contact me, you can do so through my Facebook page. You can find us at I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So. You can also go to my website. You can leave comments there. You can go to I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So.com. You can leave comments, questions, and I will be glad to answer you. But I will not deny or say what is not true. The truth is, President Obama was the first gay president openly in the United States. Now, the reason I say that, and some of y'all gonna be upset, but everything that he worked for, every motive, you go and ask most blacks, what did President Obama do for the black community while in office? And they're gonna go, But ask him what he did for the gay community. Ask him what he did for the gay. He went to war. He went to war for the LGBTQ community, and he won. He took it all the way to Supreme Court, and he won. Of course, we're getting ready to come up on the end of the show. And I want to thank you for support, that everyone who has supported this show, that have contributed to the show. And if you would like to become a contributor, you can go to I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So.com. You can subscribe, you can donate, you can buy some of our material. We have T-shirts, coffee mugs, and things of that sort. I also got my latest book on the website. Of course, you can go and get No Snow Days. We are working on another book. We're working on a book called I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So. We're hoping to have it out sometime next year. We've been working very hard at that. But all at the same time, we need your support. We need to continue this conversation. We need to not depend on the mainstream media. Look, the media, the fourth column has now become the fifth estate. If you don't know what that means, look it up. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being a part of my show. I May Be Wrong, but I Don't Think So. Of course, I want to say God bless you. God bless America. God bless our children and Merry Christmas.
You've been listening to Alfonso Ashworth, the Barry White of Podcast Radio. Go forth and share his message. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. Remember, no two people can ever occupy the same place at the same time. You were uniquely and wonderfully made. Born an original. Don't die a copy. God bless. Peace.